Hey y'all, hi. So I've been doing a project this year to reduce the overall amount of time that I spend doing anything related to shopping. So not just to reduce the number of things that I buy, which has kind of been the point of this stuff in the past, but really to take back my time. And I've made a couple of other videos about it. I think just the launch video about it. Oh no, 3. So the launch video, the first check-in, and another check-in. So really, there's a lot of background out there, a lot of context, and I will link a playlist of all 3 of those videos in the cards, and I will also link them down below. If you're interested in this, I do recommend getting caught up before you watch this video so you'll have all the context. Basically, it's a brilliant plan if I do say so myself, and it was going brilliantly until it wasn't. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. I will tell you what has happened, why I think it has happened, and what I'm going to do next. And if you like this, maybe consider subscribing, especially if you're interested in content about beauty and aesthetics at large, and you're also interested in this kind of conscientious consumerism, because a lot of my content weds those themes. Now, let's get into the meat of the video. So, as you'll know if you're all caught up, the bones of the project are these. I don't shop and I don't engage in any shopping-related behaviors. That includes browsing, even reading emails from brands, comparison shopping, reading reviews, all of those time-sucking procrastination vices that are shopping-related. I don't engage in any of them Monday through Friday, and then I'm allowed to do it on the weekends. So, not only do I have to confine my actual purchases to the weekends, but I also have to confine all of the investment of time and energy that goes into deciding which purchases to make and whether or not I'm going to make them. All of that has to be confined to the weekend. And not only was I doing really well at it in terms of like sticking to the actual plan, but I was feeling really great. And the most recent check-in, I talked about how much it helped me make good decisions about my actual spending. To have all of my shopping and spending squished together into one couple of days, it really helped me see how much I would be buying all at once if I bought everything I was considering. Whereas in the old way, when I was just sort of moderating, I would buy a thing here and a thing there and kind of add up. With this system, I'm buying a thing here and a thing there all grouped together at once, and it makes it much less likely that I'll actually buy all of the things that I would have bought here and there last year. That's kind of a summary of the most recent check-in. This is just to say, I've been sticking to it, I have been reaping the benefits in multiple ways, and I've been discovering benefits that I hadn't even anticipated. So, all great. And then, gosh, when was it? A couple of weeks ago at this point, I just fell, as they say, off the wagon. I just was browsing in the middle of the week. I say that it just kind of happened, but I do remember the moment that I fell, and I'll describe it to you. It was a Tuesday, which is the furthest away from the weekend, kind of maybe other than Wednesday, that you can get. Although for me, Friday evening is like the beginning of the weekend for this project now. So Tuesday actually is kind of the furthest away that you can get. It is the absolute most, there is no excuse to be engaging in this weekend-only activity day. Like, no way to talk myself into thinking that I'm like just tugging the weekend into the week a little bit or getting a jump on it starting early. Like, it's not even Friday on a Thursday. You know what I mean? It is like the week. So it was a Tuesday, and I just felt like it should be a Friday. I wanted it to be a Friday. I needed Friday on a Tuesday for a whole variety of reasons that have nothing to do with shopping. I felt so much that I needed Friday to come early. I was so disoriented, exhausted, overwhelmed, all these things. You know that feeling. Like it's the middle of the week and you can't believe that it's not the weekend yet. And what happened was I thought, wait, it's the weekend, right? It's Friday, or it's almost the weekend. And then I was like, no, oh wait, it's Tuesday. I was having these thoughts sort of moving towards wanting to give myself the treat, throw myself the bone of browsing for that distraction, solace, treat for my brain, the dopamine, the drug. I just needed a little something, and I was like trying to have that moment where I was like, oh, I can have it. It's the weekend, right? Or it's almost the weekend, right? No, it's a Tuesday. And then my brain did this thing where it was like, but Tuesday's kind of like Friday, right? Which is like a lie. But what happened was the voice in my head that was saying, no, it's a Tuesday, actually, absolutely not. What you were trying to convince yourself of is a complete delusion on this day because it's not even close to being the weekend. That voice just started fading away, like just became like barely audible as I moved towards just, I don't even remember what it was, opening a window, probably Ozma. It was probably like looking at pants on Ozma. And I had been doing it over the weekend and it was now Tuesday and I was just like, I want that drug again. I want to push that button again. I just need to erase my brain again right now. And I let the moment where I could have caught myself and told myself, and I let that moment where I could have taken myself by the lapels and looked myself in the eye and said, this is breaking your rules. Do you really want to do this? Is it really worth it? There are implications of this. Is this momentary need so desperate that it overrides your goals for yourself, your long-term goals? I let that moment slide. Like I just sort of skipped over it. I didn't have that moment. What I did instead was I was just like, I'm doing it. And I just leapt in with a kind of, I need this attitude. Like, I need this. Like, I need a vacation in the middle of the week. I just made this sort of hasty executive decision that we're going to be in vacation mode, even though it was a Tuesday, because I just really need this right now because things are so hard right now. And I just went for it. I went for it in what I feel like in retrospect is kind of an immature way. Like I was letting the sulky teenager part of me run the ship, and the wise adult part of me, I like shut her in the closet. The sulky teenager shut her in the closet for a second and was like, we're not going to do it in the grown-up way. We're going to just do what we want. Like, we just need this. So in theory, with a project like this doesn't happen. That's kind of why I'm like rolling my eyes at my past self a little bit, because the way to make a project like this actually cause change is to realize that the harder it gets to stick to your rules, actually the more important it is to stick to them. Because it's that edge, like sticking to it when it's hard, not just when it's easy. It's pushing that edge that actually strengthens the muscles, that actually causes you to grow. But I simply did not hold my resolve. I just broke the contract with myself. Though in the moment, it didn't feel like that because I was conspicuously looking away, as I sort of described, from the moment of breaking the contract. I wasn't really watching myself do it. I was turning a blind eye to the fact that I was doing it. So that is how it happened. I think as for why it happened, it's just, I'm overwhelmed. I kind of indicated it a little bit, right? Because I was saying that the sulky teenage part of me was like, we just need this right now. Things are so hard right now, right? I'm overwhelmed. My life is changing rapidly in a lot of ways. It's just a really dramatic time of life for me. It's high stress. And, you know, the inner forces, it's kind of what I'm indicating, and some other stuff too. The inner forces that caused the issue in the first place, that caused the need for this project in the first place, it's not as though they're dealt with, right? They're still there. I'm working on clearing space for them to come up so that I can work on them. It's like a year-long, if not a lifelong project. So it's just the same as it ever was in terms of why it happened, because I'm still in the space that I was in when I started this project. I'm still needing it for the same reasons. And that just all makes sense to me. I am being deliberately vague. It's because to me, like this, I mean, I am choosing, I think, to keep some of those details to myself just because that's what is more comfortable for me. But also I feel like making a video record of this project, it's more about the project and the process of negotiating with these guidelines than it is about the reason. Because I think that a lot of us need projects like this and do projects like this, but we might be going through different things that are causing them. So my personal exact details don't matter as much as like what happens next, you know? But I felt it was important to touch on why it happened as well as how it happened. And the why is just like the general setting that I've outlined in the videos already leading up to this one, the other videos about this project. So that's how and why, but also what happened. And what happened was that I started doing a ton of browsing again during the week. I just reverted. But the interesting thing, I reverted in terms of no longer having that boundary in place around my behavior. But the interesting thing is that I haven't really bought anything. Well, I was going to say I haven't really bought anything that I wouldn't otherwise have bought because it's so clearly about the escapism of the browsing and not actually about the purchases. But I don't know if I can say that with total confidence because who knows what my decision-making process would have been, because I have bought one or two things. Very few. I think maybe two over the course of the probably 3 weeks that it's been since I really fell off the wagon. And I could easily have bought those same two things, but just have had those purchases happen on weekends. In fact, they did happen only on weekends. no, that's not true. One of them happened during a week and one of them happened on a weekend. So it feels like that's maybe the amount of shopping and spending that I would have done even if I had been sticking to my rules, but I don't know, because I have learned that sticking to these rules of only browsing on weekends has caused me to want to make purchases less in sort of a mysterious alchemical way. But it's just to say that I fell off the wagon. I went totally out of control, but not with shopping, like not with actually buying. And there has been no negative repercussion like on my finances from this. It is purely an issue of time, which really reinforces my need for this project and my reasons for doing it. It is very, very clear that what I'm doing is for the sweet relief of mindless browsing and the particular kind of distraction that it provides. Kind of like watching trash TV is, I think, for some people, it's very that. For me, it's exactly my version of that. Or even maybe video games for some people. It is that. So less related to actual buying stuff, I think, than I even knew, than I have even been able to articulate so far. But as we established at the beginning of this project, what I'm trying to do is to take back my time from that kind of escapism, to take back my time from the intensity of that behavior. I'm on a mission. I'm absolutely on a mission to do that this year. And it appears that the path of that mission involves slipping back into old habits and then starting again, because that is what has happened and that is what's happening. So that's the how, the why, and the what. And before I get on with talking about what's happening next, I want to talk about, I feel like this is actually the most interesting part of the notes that I've taken for this video, the things that this has caused me to think about in the context of my many, many year journey towards moderation, starting with my no-buy year back in 2018, what this experience has caused me to think about. And the first thing is, this didn't happen during my no-buy year. I never broke my rules during my year of very, very strict rules about shopping. And that is because the rules of my no-buy year included the rule that I wouldn't break the rule, kind of. The plan for that project, my no-buy year in 2018, which I'll link the playlist in the cards in case you're interested and you don't have the context. The plan for that year-long project was to be totally faithful to the rules in the face of literally anything. I knew that I couldn't afford, literally could not afford in any way not to succeed. I couldn't afford a crack. So I prioritized those no-buy rules fully and strictly for the entire year, no matter what happened and no matter how bad I ever felt. This year with this project, as you may remember if you've seen the other videos, the rules are guidelines, and I'm open to having them change as I discover truths about the habit I'm trying to change as I kind of move through the gauntlet of the initial guidelines. There's a bit more fluidity, and I framed it this way from the very beginning. I presented it to myself and to you as something that I'm just giving a try. I decided I was going to try this rather than forcing my own hand in a really intense way. So I felt that that was important to say because I know that some of you out there are doing full-on no-buy projects or have followed my no-buy year and are doing something kind of like that. This is different in certain ways, and the experience of slipping back into old habits, even though I was trying to stick to these guidelines, has really shone a light on that for me. Because again, the no-buy project was much stricter, and therefore the process of change that it caused didn't involve what this process is involving, which is kind of like a slipping back and a going forward, like 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of thing. I wonder if the nature of a project that helps you moderate, like building even stronger muscles of moderation, I wonder if failing and starting again is part of that, because you're developing the strength to start again, which is a whole other thing. That's different from the strength to stick to your really, really strict rules no matter what. So it sheds a light on the fact that there are 2 ways to employ a self-improvement project built of rules. For the no-buy, it was really important that it be the first kind, the iron will, the unbreakable rules, because I was so far gone and so out of touch. I needed a hard reset, and I knew that. But at this point, I think what I'm doing is working on my skills of moderation, building the muscle of moderation, slowly and steadily, rather than using like the cleansing fire of total abstinence to just clear the way, make a space for healing and rebuilding, which is, I think, what the no-buy year was. Or another way to say it is that if you really want to change your life, to change your habits, then you have to be prepared either to stick to your new rules without fail, or to start again with equal gusto and commitment every time. And I personally think that starting again is harder. In the same way that budgeting, which is what I did right after the no buy year, was harder than buying nothing at all. Because when there's a little leeway, when there's that wiggle room, you have to negotiate with the sulky teenager, the part of you who's sort of semi-allowed in rather than being just completely boxed out for the entire year. And I have been feeling bad. I mean, not like overwhelmed with shame, because I'm not about that life, but just a little bit mucky. I've been feeling a little bit mucky because I had it and then I lost it. I was really feeling the benefits of the project. It was giving me a lot. And one of the things it was also giving me was that energy, that glow that comes from feeling the strength of your own resolve when you stick to it, you know? So I was feeling all of those benefits. And since I fell off the wagon, I'm not feeling those benefits anymore. So there is that sense of loss. So in that way, I've been feeling bad. But I do think that piling on shame when something like this happens, it causes kind of like a spiral of hiding from oneself, and that can make it much harder to start again. So instead of that, I'm just saying I was living within these well-conceived rules for several weeks, and I was feeling great. And then I stepped outside of the rules, and now I feel bad. And so I'm stepping back inside of them again. I'm going to step back in again, but I'm going to do it fully. I'm not going to sort of kind of try and just go back and forth and sort of let the idea of trying to do this just slip away because I fell off the wagon one time, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like a New Year's resolution that only lasts for 2 months. Not that. I understand why it happened, that I stepped outside of the rules and it doesn't feel good. And now I'm fully stepping back inside of them again, as committed as I was the first time. There's a joy to doing that, I found, because it's already started. I'm filming this it's today. I'm filming this on a Monday, and this is the day that I picked for relaunching. But I had the resolve, like towards the end of last week was when I was really like, okay, this has got to start again. Like it has to fully start again. I want it back. I want to be back inside of those guidelines and feeling all of those benefits again and holding on to it again, and to go forth with that, hopefully for even longer than I did this first time. But what I found is that there's kind of a joy in it, because letting go of shame and really starting again, it strengthens that muscle. It's like I'm retraining myself to totally believe that I'm fully capable of continuing forward and still succeeding at changing my habits, even though I briefly slipped back into old habits, rather than allowing that having slipped to talk me out of the belief that I'm capable of strengthening that muscle, that I'm capable of this slow change over time. So that's it. I'm starting over again, and I am aiming now for Friday evening through to Sunday evening being the window during which I'm allowed to browse or make purchases. So I'm shutting the door kind of at the beginning of Sunday evening so that I don't stay up late into the night on Sunday night, just scrambling, trying to get in those last hours of browsing or last purchases. And I'm reminding myself out loud here to always ask if I have the impulse during the week to open a window and do some research or make a purchase, to always ask myself, can this wait for the weekend? And to be honest with my answer to myself. That I think is a really important tool for this. It was a really important tool for those first couple of months when it was going really well. That question to myself, is this really truly so urgent that I need to do it during the week, or can it wait for the weekend? Is there anything about this that warrants browsing right now, or can it wait for the weekend? So I have a couple of months of sticking to these rules under my belt, and I know that I can do it. It's just a matter of commitment, of walking through that doorway of commitment once again. And that is where I'm at. It's weird. This has kind of never happened in years of making YouTube videos about these kinds of projects. A no-buy, a budget. I guess no, that's not totally true, because there was a year of less stuff, which kind of got unhinged towards the end. There was a little bit of trying to shop less last year, but what's happened is there have been projects that have sort of melted and morphed away. And this is different because that's not happening. I'm not just saying, oh, that was a thing I tried and it went really well for a couple of months and now I'm not going to do it for the rest of the year for various reasons. No, it's more like I learned how incredibly great this project is. I totally want to keep doing it for the rest of the year. I stopped doing it. So now I need to fully start again, recommit, same exact thing going forward. Here we go. I always think I've played it out. I've said everything I can say about these kinds of projects. I've learned all that I can learn. It's just never true. There's always something new. And, it's because of the infinite depths of the self. We can never truly know ourselves. So lightly putting these various kinds of pressures on myself in order to gently urge my habits into a healthier shape for my life. I like it because of the outcomes of health, but I also love just seeing what I do. I learn more about myself when I keep a close eye on myself under these conditions, under these self-imposed conditions. It surprises me that continues to happen, but I shouldn't be surprised because of course it does. Okay, I'm gonna go. Thank you for watching. Let me know how it's going with your projects. I know a lot of you are doing no buys, low buys, these kinds of things, various different iterations of this. Let me know how it's going. This is probably a good time to start again. We're a quarter of the way into the year, the end of the third month of the year. This is often the time when New Year's resolutions start to just drop off the map completely. And it's the beginning of spring. So it's a good time to recommit. That's what I'm doing. And if it'll be good for you, hopefully you can do it too. Also, if it'll be good for you to subscribe and you haven't done it, consider it. And don't forget to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world. That's it. I think we got